Welcome or welcome back. Hi everyone, I'm Susan, and today I'm going to show you how you can incorporate some summer decorations into your home using thrift store finds and DIYs. So I picked this up at the thrift store, and I know that it is I'm assuming it is a chip and dip bowl. So your dip goes in here and your chips in the front. So for the first project, we are making a super easy wreath. I'm going to be using this metal wreath because I already had it on hand, but you could use a foam wreath or just cut a circle out of cardboard. And I'm also using rope from the Dollar Tree and this yarn. You will also need scissors and a glue gun. Instead of wrapping it like this, I wanted it to lay around the top. So to keep my rope from falling through, I wrapped the yarn around it first. And of course, if you were using a different wreath form, you would skip this step. And then I just glued the rope all the way around. Then I remembered I finally purchased some finger protectors. I've been needing these forever. And so I just went around my wreath form with my rope. And then when I had to add a new piece of rope, I would cut off the tape that they had holding the ends. And then just make sure to press it really firmly into the last piece so that it looks like one continuous piece. And then to keep it from fraying on the very end, I used tape and then I cut the rope. So then I just glue that down and kind of press it towards the back a little bit. And you won't see it anyway because we're going to add this rope to the top. And we're going to add that to both sides and to the bottom of the wreath. So here, here, and here. Okay, so you can kind of see where this is going. I wanted it to look like a life ring. So for the last step, I had a little piece of the white rope left, and I just glued the ends together and then laid it around the wreath, and it fit perfectly. And then I hot glued the top and bottom and the sides. And I think it turned out so cute. I love it. And so for this grouping, I'm going to make an extra DIY here because it looked like it needed something tall when I started setting everything up. And I remembered I had these posts and they were used to hold up a small tree in our front yard, but now it's strong enough to stand on its own. So we got to take them down. And so I cut them and decided to make some wood pilings. So I just cut them in different lengths. I'm going to be using some of this Dollar Tree rope and just wrapping it around the bottom. And then just glued it. And here's how it turned out. Here's my thrifted piece. And here's my DIY. And here's how I grouped this one. I found this beautiful bowl at Home Goods and just filled it with my glass fishing floats with some netting and some succulents that I picked up from Dollar Tree. And I do have a video on how to make these glass ball floats, and I'll add that down in the description. And so for my thrifted piece, I decided to add some driftwood and candles. And because our dog knocked over one of my candles and it broke, I decided to use my heat gun and go around the edge of it to smooth it out. And I really liked how it looks. So it looks like it's melting down because these are battery powered candles. And so I just did that to all three. And then here are our wood pilings. So for my next project, I picked up these fishing weights from the thrift store. So these are my thrifted piece. And I did see that Kirkland's sold these. They are out of stock. They sold them in a set of 3. So I guess I'm missing my number 10. They didn't have the third one at the thrift store. So I did get these 2. So for my DIY, which is inspired by my thrift store fishing weights, I'm going to be using this bowl that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I added some white paint, a little bit of water, mixed up really well. Now I'm going to be adding the smaller beads to the white paint. And we're going to do something different with the larger ones. So just dump them all in, shake them around. This is the easiest way to get all of your beads painted. Then I just took this tool and then fished them all out. And then realized I needed just a few more, so I added some extra ones. And then after they were dry, I did dump them back into the paint to give them a second coat. So once they were dry, I put them on this dowel rod. I'm going to start by using this blue paint. It's apple barrel and the color is real navy. So just give it a little shake. So I just wanted to add a blue stripe to the beads. So with them being on this dowel rod, it was super easy to spin it as I was going around and just made the perfect stripe. So I did a few of them with the blue paint, and now I'm going to do a few with green. And this is Americana paint, and it's in the color avocado. And then just laid them across the bowl so that they could dry. Okay, so for the larger beads, I'm using brown paint and adding water. And then I tested out one of the beads first just to see if it was the right shade that I was looking for. And I liked how it looked. It kind of looked like it was dark brown in some places and light brown in some places. I really liked how it turned out. So I dumped all the beads in, gave them a good little swirl, and then fished them out. And I only did one coat on the brown beads because I did like the two-tone that they had. So while those were drying, I have this rope from Dollar Tree and I just unwrapped it. I ended up with 3 strands. Now we're just going to take one of those strands and we're going to divide that. So I just pulled it apart. And just using tape, I taped the ends together. And this is so I can feed it through my beads. Okay, after playing around with some patterns, I decided to add a brown bead, add a green bead, add another brown bead, and then tie a double knot, and then add a blue striped bead and add a double knot, and then repeat that pattern. Then I took a piece of sandpaper and just kind of filed down, mostly tried to hit just the white part of the beads and a little bit of the color, but I didn't want to sand off a lot of the color, so I was just kind of roughing it up just a little bit. So to make the tassel, I'm just going to be using the lid that was on my beads and just wrapped it a couple of times and realized that I did wrap it a little too tight and it was a little difficult to come off, but it worked. And then just tied it to the end of my beads. When I found those fishing weights at the thrift store, my initial thought was to paint them like white or cream, the neutral colors, but I actually really liked the pop of color. So I just left them the way they were. The fun part about making these beaded strings yourself instead of buying them already made at the store is because you can personalize them and have them match your decor. So I thought that was really fun doing the blue and the green. Okay, so after tying it to my beads, then take the bottom and cut your strings. Okay, so just give it a little haircut. Here's my thrifted piece. And here's my DIY. And then here's how I styled this one. I kept it very simple on my coffee table and just added my beads, my fishing weights, and some flowers. So for my last grouping, I'm using this sandcastle that I picked up at the thrift store. And so for my DIY in this grouping, we're going to be using this material that I picked up at Dollar Tree, this dowel rod, and this driftwood that I picked up from Home Goods. So after unrolling the material, it's very wrinkled. So I did use an iron and ironed out all of the creases. I made some templates out of cardstock and then cut out the shapes. And it was a little thin, so I decided to double it. And so I just used hot glue and added another piece to the top. So I just took my dowel rod and measured it and cut it to the length that I needed. And then took one of the larger pieces of the driftwood. I would love to make a really large sailboat, but this was one of the larger pieces. And so I just took my drill and just drilled down just a little bit, just enough to hold my dowel rod in place. And I'm just going to use this string so that I can tie my sails to the dowel rod. Okay, and then I did the same thing with the other piece. And for the outer corners, I just put a double knot in the string and then just used hot glue and attached it to my driftwood. And I did that on both sides. Okay, and to finish it off, just snipped off the top piece. Here's my thrifted piece. And here's my DIY. And here's how I grouped this one. So in this grouping, I used my DIY sailboat, and I picked these blue vases up on clearance from Hobby Lobby. The succulents are from Dollar Tree, and the larger plant is from Joann's. And of course my sandcastle that I thrifted. Okay, so let me know which one you like the best. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.